Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex, and this is Big Baby Reviews. Check out my comics, Big Baby and Star Crasher, KingComics.CA. Check out my other videos on YouTube. King Comics 2021 is the channel. Check out my Instagram, Maximus Rex 13, and check out my Facebook, Max Rex and or Big Baby. So today, guys, Thursday, we're looking at some more Rob Liefeld, and we looked at a couple of issues from Rob Liefeld's early career when he was starting out in 1988. Now we're moving forward, still in our past, to 2011 when he went back to DC Comics and worked on the Hawk and Dove characters once again. One of the old tropes of comic books, enter this guy, enter that guy. Not quite sure that why they became a thing. It gets used a lot, and it's kind of annoying, but it is one of those comic book tropes. So, in this case, it's to say introducing, here comes, but enter. Just is more succinct and I guess has more of that path. So enter Condor. Enter him, guys. I could not help doing that. So this to me, I don't have issue 1. We're starting with issue number 2. And this seems to me right away with this Condor guy is kind of just basically the same concept as before in the 1988 series, where he kind of revamped the characters and, Dove became a woman. And also, you can see her in the back there, but also he introduced Kestrel, right? Or Kestrel, or again, pronunciation. You guys let me know in the comments how I'm supposed to say that. Who was kind of a twisted, darker version of Hawk, his like Venom to Hawk as Venom is to Spider-Man, to a certain extent. And we got kind of the same thing here, except now we've got Condor, and there's a little surprise that we're actually going to see within the issue when we get there. It'll be pretty easy to spot. I'll point it out too. So Condor is kind of like the same kind of ideas as Kestrel, but in this case is maybe just closer to Hawk. He's not quite the evil version and souped up version of Hawk that Kestrel was. One weird detail about these characters, I'm just going to mention now because you're going to see it all throughout the issue as well, excuse me, is the fact that Rob Liefeld, these guys are wearing masks, and I would argue the kind of Batman mask, right? It's almost the Batman mask with the chin guard, no ears, right? That's basically what we're getting with both these characters. And even with Dove back here, right? Like, it covers most of her face and her head. She's got the Liefeld hair sticking out the top. But he draws like they have ears, and is like the mask's so form-fitting that it's been molded to their ears. Just seems like an odd detail to me. I've never quite understood why we could see the ears. And if I go back to the old Hawk and Dove series, Kestrel, a lot of times, because his costume's black, you wouldn't notice, but in certain angles and certain shots, there was a shot, I think, where there's like a bright light or something on him, and he's not black anymore, obviously, because of the light effect, and you can see that his ear is very obvious. So it's just a strange choice that I don't quite understand. But yeah, just throwing it out there. Do appreciate Rob Liefeld trying to throw in a bit of grit here on the cover. It's a little bit of dirt and rocks and stuff, I don't know if he ever will commit to full-on splatter, because that would have been pretty cool here. You mask off the figures where you don't want any of the splatter, and once you mask them off with cardboard or paper or whatever, you just take I take a toothbrush. I find that's the best, and it just fucking throw some ink and splatter it all over the place and make it look, bloody, dirty, whatever kind of texture you're trying to add. Kind of similar to the texture he's doing here. And he didn't add a lot. It's kind of, but good on him for trying something a little bit different there. All right, so what I can surmise and what you need to know is that, there's not just Hawk and Dove anymore. There's a whole kind of group of bird-themed heroes who all kind of look the same but have slightly different designs, right? As we saw on the cover here with these two guys, right? It's the same basic design, but more specific to each character and each, I guess, or similar to the bird they're meant to represent. So this guy's color scheme as well is quite different. And he's basically been taken in by this Condor guy, who is going to basically kill him or allow his girlfriend to kill him with this bird-themed knife so she can steal his bird-like powers, right? And there's some odd plot holes here. Rob Liefeld didn't write this, but he does draw it, where it says here, feel those claws good, I don't want you changing back to a regular human, right? You change back, she doesn't get the power when you die. So he explains it to him. So why does this guy then not just change to a human right away? He's going to die. She's going to stab him with his powers to take his powers away from him. So if you turn human and you just die anyways, she doesn't get the power. But you've basically decided in death, to choose the way where she stabs you and takes your power. It's kind of an odd plot thing. I guess, needed to move the story along, but, you know, just to show you, even when Rob Liefeld's not writing his own comic, the storyline's kind of thin. Art-wise, this is not my favorite period of Rob Liefeld. We're way past that. There's some good stuff here and there, but I think overall the one thing that's lacking are the backgrounds, as you can see. No establishing shot yet. We don't quite know where this is going on. The weird detail of those ears, as I was saying, it just ruins it for me in a weird way where I'm like, it's just such a hokey looking design thing. What happened at the top of this guy's head? Who knows? That's quite a extreme angle. Maybe that's how you would justify it, but yeah, some of the art is just, some of it, like I said, is okay. Other stuff, oof. You can tell where he's not spending too much time. So yeah, she does end up taking the power and becomes kind of, as Condor is, you know, the doppelganger of Hawk, she becomes a doppelganger of Dove and is Swan. And this color, man, ugh, who came up with that? Like, again, this is just a pinup shot that Rob Liefeld drew. Some colorists added in all the rest. Here's the establishing shot. Like, it's so tiny. The city. And that's basically all we get here. You know, the street. Okay, so there's one cop car and 3 cops, I guess is what's going on there. But yeah, Condor making out with his newly powered girlfriend. Now, come on, time for us to find some playmates. Time for us to find Hawk and Dove. And they use the logo there. Pretty clever. I will say I think maybe not that background I was laughing at, but most of the coloring in this, even though it's a modern comic, is pretty good. You know, it's pretty subdued. It's almost like Image pulled back just a little bit, I guess is how I describe it. I think it works. And this is a cool shot. I don't mind this. Nice kind of foreshortened action shot, you know, what Liefeld's known for. And this is Hawk pushing these kind of zombie demons out of somewhere. I'm not quite sure. We get a little bit of background here, but here's the thing. So Sterling Gates is the writer, Rob Liefeld penciler and cover, Rob Liefeld and Adelso Corona inkers. So I'm wondering if maybe this Delson Corona guy is inking more of the backgrounds and maybe doing a lot of the help or the heavy lifting with the backgrounds. Just a hypothesis. I don't know for sure. Maybe backgrounds are suggested and he finishes them. I feel like maybe that's how that works. Although I don't know for sure. We do get a little bit of action here, which is pretty cool. Him falling on the top of the car here. If you look at the car, though, I mean, oh my God, no reference here. Let's just a bunch of squares and rectangles and let's move on, right? There's like a crack, some dots here. Like the car's supposed to be metal. This looks like concrete. It's an odd texture choice, but foreshortening, I think here, this guy laying down on the street. It's an unfortunate angle if you're going to draw someone lying in the street, because it kind of looks now he's up on the wall or something. Or has been pushed up against the wall. It's just, yeah, it seems odd to me to have someone lying down in a very vertical shot, right? It just doesn't work. If I just turn this here and we had like a panel, you know, a horizontal panel like this, that would work a lot better, just to convey what you're trying to convey there. I will give him, I do like all throughout this issue, his zombie faces and stuff. I do think are done pretty well over here. Yeah, we get the cool shot of Hawk, right? Who's like, I mean, he's pretty Batman-ish, I guess, is how I just, you know, he's he's based on the Batman kind of, what's the word for that? It's escaping me. Not the stereotype, but I'll call it a model. The archetype. There it is. Archetype. Again, if you know, let me know in the comments. So again, just some, you know, not much to say. Backgrounds probably done by an assistant. Seems like just the angle might be a little bit wrong here with the jaw and what we're seeing. We should be seeing maybe some of her. Anyways, that's Liefeld. Does feel like this is pretty rushed, but there we go. There's another cool shot. I think it's almost Spawn-like to a certain extent. Maybe that's where he's getting the ideas. I don't know for sure of the rendering, but I do like his zombie faces all throughout this. Here, I mean, not a bad shot, but just the way her body's twisted is a little unnatural. And then you get some weird shots here where I guess he's meant to be holding her, right? Or something, or she's leaning back in a weird fashion. Not quite sure like what their body positioning's all about here. You know, he's got this red line kind of going down the side of his body here, so I feel like we should be seeing at least a little bit of that here to indicate his other thigh, and it just looks really weird. And because the background here and his uniform is kind of colored similarly, right? They're pretty darn close as far as value and almost the color. Then when we see this area here, we're not quite sure. We're confused because is that background or is that his thigh, right? We just don't know. There's no indication, nothing to help us out. The dead man going through the wall there, I think, is pretty hilarious. Oh, ads in the middle of comics. Freaking DC. So yeah, I mean, again, story-wise, not much going on. Just Hawk fighting these zombie dudes again. I think the faces are pretty fun. And then we get, some sort of rich person's charity ball. Not quite sure what this, like, these backgrounds, what they're, it took me a while to kind of figure out the perspective here. Am I looking up or down at something? I wasn't even sure. Because here I feel like you could be looking up, but then it's unwanted MC Escher, right? Like, not on purpose MC Escher. This doorway, I mean, come on. Rob Liefeld's ladies always go through kind of different periods of weird proportions, and they tend to vary over the decades, right? So here there was a period where he would just kind of draw the body coming down and out to the hips, which in and of itself is maybe not wrong. It's almost like more of an Archie kind of thing, but just makes the ladies look very stiff and odd, I would say. And just little things sometimes where Rob Liefeld, like, this line here that cuts straight across, if it just curved down a little bit, like what he's kind of suggesting with the rest of the skirt, would just go, or even curve this way, one way or the other, would just give it a little bit more dimension and wouldn't seem quite as flat. Don't feel like he spent a lot of time on these just dialogue, story pages, people just talking, right? We know that's not where his interest lies. And again, the lack of backgrounds is just hallucinating. A bit of texture for the floor, some different colors, some Procreate kind of textures. Nothing in here really makes me want to read this. There's a lot of dialogue too. And luckily I have not read it. Again, they're on the ground here, but it's not obvious because of that really extreme horizon line diagonal that we've got. I thought I was looking down at them and they're looking up and standing up, but that's not it. They're on the ground. So again, if that panel had been turned, like this, I think it'd be, or maybe even just a slight diagonal, that'd be fine. Just weird storytelling choices. I look at older Rob Liefeld comics, and you can check out the reviews. I find like the storytelling just gets worse and worse. It just becomes more and more posy stuff, and not very interesting angles generally. Again, just the colorist is doing all the work on this page. Not that it's necessarily a bad shot or anything, but. And of course, well, I got to keep some stuff for next issue. So the confrontation between Condor and Swan and Hawk and Dove is going to have to wait for the next issue. Hawk and Dove versus Condor and Swan is, I guess, how they want to brand it. Interesting. Not a bad shot here. I do feel like this is basically Kestrel with different color scheme. Wonder if he actually shows up in this series. Still think Kestrel is probably a stronger character too than this Condor guy. But the next logical step was, for Kestrel, the Hawk-like villain, to have a villain sidekick that resembles Dove, right? All right, guys. Well, that's where I'm going to leave you today. That's my review of Hawk and Dove issue number 2. If you're still watching and you've subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. If you're watching but you are not subscribed, please do so below. It really helps out the channel, helps us grow, and doesn't take you a lot of time. So everyone out there watching, thank you so much for your support, and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like, subscribe.